For your breadsticks, you will need a half a cup of quinoa, 2 teaspoons of olive oil, 1 cup of water, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1/4 cup of Italian blend shredded cheese, 2 eggs, a 3/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of olive oil, 3/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and an additional half a cup of Italian blend for topping. And now we can move on to the utensils you'll need. And to start this off, you'll need a drying rack, a baking sheet with a silicone pad, a strainer, a spatula of some sort, a whisk, a pot, and a mixer. If you have one, you could just do it by hand. It doesn't matter. Okay, before we start any of the mixing, we're going to want to preheat our oven to about 425 degrees Fahrenheit. And while that's preheating, we can start the process. So you're going to want to rinse out your quinoa. If you don't rinse out your quinoa, it tends to leave a little bit of a bitter taste in your mouth. So we just make sure to rinse off our quinoa pretty well. And then once it's all nice and rinsed, you're going to want to shake out as much water as you can. Once it's all rinsed and strained out, we could set our pot to about a medium heat. For our stove at the moment, it's about on 7. That usually does the trick. You don't want to forget to add in your oil before you put in your quinoa. That would be a bad idea. And make sure not to waste any. Oils tends to be pretty expensive depending on where you buy it, so we're just going to make sure we use it all. Pour in your quinoa, being sure to stir constantly. For about 6 to 7 minutes. The main idea here is to toast the quinoa. Once that's done, we're going to want to slowly incorporate our water. Just be careful, this part it can get pretty exciting because obviously water and oil don't mix. So once you're done incorporating all of your water, you're going to want to bring it to a boil. And once at a boil, you're going to want to cover and reduce to a simmer for about 15 minutes or so. Once that's done, you're going to want to remove the lid, give it a good stir, cook for an additional 5 minutes. The main idea here is to remove any excess moisture. Once you've removed most of the excess moisture from the quinoa, you're going to want to put the quinoa into your mixing bowl. Now, depending on whether you're mixing by hand or a mixer, it doesn't matter. You're going to want to let this quinoa rest for about 10 minutes. Once your quinoa is done resting, you're going to want to turn your mixer on low, add in your oil, and again, making sure to get all the oil we can out of there. After that, we're going to want to add the eggs, your Italian seasonings, garlic powder, your salt, baking powder, and your cheese. Make sure to stack them nice and neatly per the wife's instructions. Turn up your mixer and let that combine together real well.
We kind of want to break up the cheese a little bit.
I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. She can't take any more. Damn.
Once that's all said and done, you're going to want to spread out your quinoa onto your silipad or parchment paper, a 1/4 inch thick. The next thing you're going to want to do is pop it in that nicely 425 degree preheated oven for 20 minutes. After that, go ahead and pull it out and use the rest of your cheese as the toppings. And reinsert back into the oven for additional 5 minutes. After that's done, you're basically done. This is how it should look. From here, you'll let it cool off for a couple more minutes and then cut it into the appropriately sized squares that you'd like. We want to really thank you guys for sticking through this video. If you want more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. If you like the video, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. If you have an idea that you want us to feature on the channel, be sure to leave it in the description below, and we'll get to it as soon as possible. Once again, thank you guys for sticking with us, and have a good day.